Well, hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to take just a minute to talk about how to be with Jesus and how to do that through spiritual practices. Spiritual practices are so important because they allow us to connect with Jesus in a new way. If you think about this, if you spend time with God, over time, you should become more like Him, right? And have His characteristics in your life and His fruit in your life as well. A good tangible example of this is a date night or just hanging out with your friends. If you think about this, the idea is that we're intentionally spending time with other people so that we could grow in healthy relationships and grow relationally with those individuals. The same thing is true in our relationship with God. When we have these practices in place, it allows us to connect with Him and have a healthy relationship. So we want to have these practices in our life. So let's take just a minute and overview what those practices are at Definition Church. You're going to get to experience these all throughout the calendar year. And it's just to help us know how to be with Jesus. The 9 practices that you're going to experience are church community. Then the next one is Sabbath. We have solitude after that. Then we have Bible study, prayer, and fasting. And then evangelism. And then we have serving and giving. So let me take just a minute to go through what those things are, okay? The first one is church community. We all know that we don't grow individually, we grow in the context of community. So small groups is such a big thing at Definition Church. We're going to give you an opportunity to have these relationships, to have a safe space so that you can connect with other people. The next one is Sabbath. We all live in a busy culture, right? And Sabbath is learning to rest in God. It's to learning to let go of the idols of productivity and self-reliance, learning how to be human beings and not human doings. We don't want to just do things for God. We learn to be with Him, right? The next one is the solitude. We all are a product of the environments which we're in and the voices that we allow into our lives. And so solitude is just the ability to say no to those things, to be quiet and to listen. And here's the thing, God is speaking if we'll just listen. We have to quiet the noise in our life. The next one is Bible study. A Bible study is just when we do things like reading, we study, we meditate on Scripture. When we have these things in our lives, it allows us to see what God says about us, what truth is, to discover what His divine will for our life is. And so that's why we do Bible study. The next one is prayer. Prayer is just communication. It's just like this. It's just talking with God so that we can experience and show our emotions. And then here's the thing that I love about prayer. It's more about listening than just talking, right? It's a relationship. The next one is fasting. Fasting is saying no to a lot of things, sometimes good, sometimes bad, so that we can say yes to the things of God, the spiritual things of our lives. We can learn to hunger for God. We can learn to be feasting on everything that He has for us. And so that's why we do fasting. And you'll get to experience that as a church family here at Definition Church. The next one's evangelism. Evangelism is simply this, telling people about Jesus. Jesus died for us so that He could have a relationship with us. And so we want to share that love and hope with everybody that we encounter. And we want to use every opportunity as a church and individually to share that love of God with people. The next one is serving. We all need to serve because it helps us understand that the things that we're facing, the problems that we're facing are not the only things in the world, right? Other people have things, there's bigger issues. And when we serve, we learn to be a servant leader just like Jesus was. And so it takes the focus off of ourselves and allows us to share the hope and love of Jesus with our world. And the last one is giving. When we look at the Bible, the theme is God gave. And because we're His children, we want to give as well. We want to be generous. And so not only with our finances, but with our time, with our energy, when we're generous, we display the love of God to the people who are around us. As we wrap all this up, it would be very easy to think about all these practices as a checklist of, if I do these, I earn God's favor. That's not what this is at all. This is an invitation into a new way of connecting with Jesus that maybe you've never done before. And when we have these intentional practices in our lives, it allows us to experience Jesus in a new way, to be with Him in a new way so that we can become like Him and do what Jesus did.